tried to always get inside the musician. I tried to, I wanted people to see them how I saw them.
So this was star art.
And that was my photography. So what happened
But
at
I mean,
that
that
show,
was-
I said, I don't want to do this. This is not my thing. I'm not interested in this everybody's the same kind of
Pushing,
thing.
yeah.
Right, and I wanted to do something more special. So I had this idea of, I think I'll do a book of artwork done by musicians.
Oh, is that what it was?
And that's what it was.
Star art.
Yes. And so I got one musician who I had met, having shot him, was Commander Cody, George Frayne. And so I said, listen, this is what I want to do. Would you like to be a part of it? Because he's a fine artist. And I put together a mock-up of his chapter, and then I went to the next musician and said, this is what I'm doing. Do you like it? Yes.
And was it their painting? Or
it was their paintings, and I was the conduit to show their work. I was the first person to show that an artist could do well in more than one format, in more than one media.
Because it is true.
Now it's big time.
I
They're
know.
selling all kinds of it. I was the first person to publish Ron Wood's paintings, and now he's doing really, really well with them. But I worked my way up, and I ended up with Joni Mitchell, Cat Stevens, Ron Wood, John Mayall, Klaus Vormann, and Commander Cody.
And you
book.
had no connection to these people before. It was just
Not
through
really.
your reputation.
Well,
and
it was
within
more
your work.
It was more through my tenacity.
I'm giving you a compliment.
But thank you. They enjoyed my work, and I had to show them something. But I was still a kid. I was 20 years old when I started that book, and they were all older than me. And it was like this little girl coming in with this little project. I had no publisher, no nothing, but they liked what I brought, which was me and my work.
Was there copy in it?
Yes, I did interviews
write
with them,
the
and
copy?
I wrote the copy. That was before I knew how to be a writer. I'd written a little bit in Vancouver when I was shooting pictures. I'd write about the musicians that were coming to town. So I had a little bit of that, but not any training.
What about for publication? Did you ever photograph and have it published in magazines or that kind of thing?
I had my photographs
As
or
a
my
journalist,
writing. As
yeah.
a journalist,
Uh-huh.
you know, I've always thought about being a photojournalist and how
But
fun
you
it would
never
be,
did.
but I haven't done it. I haven't had time.
It seems like you're a photojournalist, though.
I think of this as a photojournalism
Yeah, that's what I was
of this
thinking.
time, and I'm really happy with being able to do the writing and connect it with the photographs.
And in this book, did you? It has copy.
Yes.
I'm going to just open.
You find some.
I'll find some. It has stories.
Yes,
I
there
know. I
there
went
are.
through and
There's my stories of what it was like to shoot them or what it was like to be there at the time. Some of the stories are very personal about me growing up and how I felt about things. For example, with Led Zeppelin, when I shot John Bonham, and I had loved Led Zeppelin when I was 16, and then to get to shoot them was something else. So I write a little story about that, sort of about the sexuality that I went through, and it's quite personal, a lot of it.
how many years does this cover?
This covers 75 to 79, 1975 to
very
79.
small.
It's very small.
And everyone is not living.
In this book, there are some pictures of living people in the book, but only if they're in the picture with the person who has passed away.
So you wrote the copy. I think one of the things you said that it included time capsule, ghosts of the past, and 6 degrees.
There's a lot of 6 degrees of separation between these musicians.
Does that
which is
mean
very,
the people that are not dead are 6 degrees, or they're
no,
all 6 degrees?
within the book.
Uh-huh.
For example, Gene Pitney is in the book, and he just passed away 2 years ago. And he wrote the song "Hello, Mary Lou," which was a big hit for Rick Nelson, who's
right.
also in the book.
Oh, I see.
Harry Nilsson, who had a huge hit with the song "Without You," was actually written by Pete Ham and Tom Evans of Badfinger, and they're all in the book. And it's just really strange how interconnected everybody is. It's like, oh, there's my man.
I'm going to run through these really quickly.
Okay.
Tell us who they were and where you shot them.
That's Waylon Jennings, and I shot him at the Queen Elizabeth Theatre in Vancouver, and he and I connected like crazy. He played for my camera, and I took better pictures of him than anybody else I shot, I think. You know, sometimes you get that chemistry
Yeah.
going.
And
that, another of my favorites is John Lee Hooker, and he's giving me a kiss goodbye, and that was the third time and last time that I shot him in 1974.
are these pictures from the book?
These are all in the book.
Okay.
There's George Harrison, and that was shot on his Dark Horse tour, on his solo tour. And then I also got the occasion, I guess 3 or 4 years later, when I was working on Star Art, I became close with Maureen Starkey, Ringo's ex-wife.
Oh, yeah.
And I had the opportunity to go to his house because Klaus Vormann designed doorknobs that are in his house. So I got to go to his house, and I put pictures of his house in the book too,
Oh,
so
that's
people will be
great.
able to see that.
Yeah, that's great.
And that is Papa John Creech backstage. He was with Jefferson Starship and also Hot Tuna, and I just loved shooting him. The most elegant man ever.
None of these are setups, are they?
No, I'm
I mean,
very
none of
candid.
them are
Not
studio.
really. No,
nothing
I
studio
shoot
work.
live, and the live shots, you know, you're like
Like
for
this
example,
is-
yeah, that's Tim Buckley, and I just happened to catch that shot, and that's one of my favorite pictures. And he was an amazing singer, beautiful man. And that's one of the ones of Harry Nilsson, and that's actually taken after I'd stopped shooting concerts. He never played concerts.
Look at the candlelight.
And that's totally candid, not set up at all. That's at a dinner at Klaus Bormann's house. I was living at Klaus's house, and he came over for dinner before they were leaving to go and work on the Popeye movie that Robin Williams was in, because they were doing all the music for it.
yeah.
And we were up till 4 in the morning playing a game of $20,000 Pyramid, and I just snapped a couple of pictures, and that was
So
it.
great.
And there's Carl Wilson, one of the Beach Boys, one of my favorite bands, and I love him, love all of them. That was shot in Vancouver at the Coliseum. And there's John Bonham from Led Zeppelin, who I already spoke
That
about.
you were talking about.
Yeah,
but look at
just
this.
an
Were you laying
amazing-
on your stomach?
No, I am not. I know that it's great. It looks like I'm on the stage, and drummers are really, really hard to shoot. And I've got several drummers in there, and I'm pretty proud of the pictures of them. And that's John Denver. That's backstage at the Coliseum, and he was the sweetest man I have ever met. He let everyone come backstage to meet him, and I was stuck there for 2 hours taking pictures of every single person that wanted their picture taken with him. But he was so sweet, and I was happy
You
to do
just-
it.
yeah.
Very happy. That's
I love that.
That's Terry Kath from Chicago,
Great.
and he was an amazing guitar player, very underrated in the history of rock and roll. I'm hoping to change that. And that's
Yeah, that's nice.
that's Mark Bolan from T-Rex, who was the grandfather of glam rock.
I love these two. These two, like these together, have just this kind of real intensity, don't they?
And
Like-
that's what I tried to do when I was shooting, and that's why I waited. I didn't just snap a bunch of pictures with a motor drive. I would wait until they got into that moment that really bared their souls and showed who they really were. And there's the First Lady of Country,
That's
Tammy
great.
Wynette, and I shot her at a show where she actually played with her husband George Jones, so I have some pictures where he's in them as well. And I have one picture of her with him where he's looking at her with so much love in his eyes for her, and she has a big smile on her face. They were in the midst of starting to get divorced.
You thought you really captured that.
I captured a lot of love between them, which is really nice, and I'm looking forward to hopefully meeting George Jones one day so I can see what he thinks of the pictures.
So the things that you've said and told us today is what's part of the copy
All
in this
part
book?
of, yeah, all my stories and what it was like to be with them, and then also biographies, so if you don't know something about them, because a lot of people, you know, have forgotten who some of the people
in
are,
there?
or don't know them. And so I make sure that I get the biographical information so you'll know who they are and where they come from.
Thank you, Deborah.
Oh, thank
we
you
have
so
to leave.
much. Oh my
And
gosh.
Frank
And there's
Zappa.
Frank looking at us over, and
Yes.
he's amazing. And he, at one time, thought he might run for president, and wouldn't it be great if he had been?
There you were.
Thank
So
you.
thank you very
Thank
much.
you so much.
And thank you for watching the Joan Quinn Profiles. Keep writing to 777 South Figueroa, 44th floor, Los Angeles 90017. Bye.